He was virtually unknown to the vast majority of the public. But this troubled, extremely prolific singer-songwriter was hailed by Rolling Stone as the king of outsider music. He was admired as an eccentric genius by some of the most influential figures in alternative rock until his unexpected passing. I'm Vladimir Putin, and on this edition of Within the Tunage, we examine the life and music of cult musician Stanton Fleiss. The 1980s saw the beginnings of Fleiss's unique cult success. Sonic Youth's Thurston Moore.
I think I first heard of Stanton Fleiss back around 1987 or so. That bastard gave me a cassette tape he'd bought off a weird, glassy-eyed guy selling them on the street. He didn't know it at the time, but the guy must have been Stanton himself. Anyway, he was like, check this out. It was titled Stanton Fleiss Loves You, and had this weird, hand-drawn, photocopied insert for the cover. Later the same day, before I had a chance to listen to it, my friend Jim O'Rourke comes by and hands me a copy of the exact same cassette and says, you gotta hear this. I was amused by the coincidence, so I put it on immediately. And I just sat there and listened to the whole thing, beginning to end.
So you were really into it?
I wouldn't go that far.
But you enjoyed the songs?
Not exactly.
But you liked them, sort of?
Not really. They sucked ass. But somehow, they were blazingly great in their absolute suckiness. One song that stood out for me was this frighteningly psychotic tune called You Think I'm Funny.
You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. I hear you laughing. Ha ha ho ho. I think you are mistaken. I think you are mistaken. You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. I hear you laughing. Ha ha ho ho. I think you're very wrong. I think you're very wrong. You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. You think I'm funny? Ha ha ho ho. I hear you laughing. Ha ha ho ho. Ha ha ho ho. Ha ha ho ho.
Now that's Stanton's innovation, I think. That's what makes his music unique. This combination of terrible and incredibly annoying and yet weirdly catchy. And I can't stop coming back to it. Kind of like when you have a canker sore and you keep poking at it with your tongue all day. It's transgressive in a unique way. It makes you eat shit and learn to love it. Anyway, pretty soon it seemed like all the musicians I knew were talking about Stanton Fleiss. And he started getting mentioned in crappy mimeographed fanzines and shit.
The known facts about Stanton Fleiss's life are sketchy and incomplete. He was born in Los Angeles on March 3, 1964. And eventually, around the age of 19, he made his way to New York City, where he lived for at least 2 decades. Beyond that, not much else is known. Rumor has it that he's related to Heidi Fleiss, who became famous as the so-called Hollywood Madam in the 90s. But this has never been confirmed. What we do know is that, shortly after arriving in New York, Fleiss began obsessively writing tunes and recording them on a cheap cassette 4-track machine. His earliest songs were somewhat derivative, such as Hey, Mrs. Castanet Gal.
Hey, Mrs. Castanet's gal, play your castanets. In the clicky-clacky morning, I'll go hiding from you.
Another example, Fly Like a Beagle.
I want to fly like a beagle, a dog with wings. Fly like a beagle, I will pee on everything. I want to fly like a beagle, and that's a fact. Oh, don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that.
But before long, Stanton found his own unique voice. His music was undeniably different. Songs such as The Devil Lives in My Anus were typical of his demented yet oddly innocent outlook.
Oh, the devil lives in my anus, and sure has a lot to say. I could gut my mom feeling nice and calm if he tells me it's okay. Time to whistle.
When he wasn't working minimum wage jobs in fast food joints, Fleiss, a slender young man with short dark hair and a perpetually distracted demeanor, was handing out cassette albums of his music on New York street corners, with deceptively childlike titles such as I Believe in Music, Happy Joyful Fun Tunes, and Puppies for Everyone. These tapes traveled hand to hand, far and wide amongst alternative music fans and performers, including Liz Phair in Chicago in late 1991.
At that time, I was just starting to make a name for myself in the music scene, writing and recording at home, distributing my girly sound cassettes. So one day, somebody gives me a Stanton Fleiss tape and said, "Hey, this guy does exactly what you're doing, handing out home recordings. You should check this out." So I listened to a song titled Feeling Wobbly and immediately felt insulted. This is exactly like what I'm doing?
Feelin' Wobbly is notable as the first of Stanton's songs, the first of many, to mention Chantel Tewksbury, a nurse at Green Meadows, a New York State mental health facility where Fleiss was voluntarily committed off and on throughout the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s. Chantel was a longtime object of unrequited love for the lonely songwriter. Here, in this exclusive interview, she speaks publicly about Stanton for the first time.
Stanton wrote about 100 songs about me. That was on weekdays. On weekends, he wrote even more. He insisted on playing many of them for me over the years.
How did you react when he played you those songs?
Well, you know, I was like, "That's nice, Stanton. Thank you very much. Here's your Thorazine."
His song Feelin' Wobbly seems to be a childhood reminiscence of you.
I never knew him, other than a patient at Green Meadows. A lot of his songs were fantasies, you know, about us having a relationship we never had.
Why did Stanton voluntarily commit himself at Green Meadows?
Well, first I should say I wouldn't normally be at liberty to discuss a patient's medical history. But Stanton actually made me promise to do just that. In fact, he wrote a document to that effect and had me sign it, got it notarized and everything. I have it right here. It reads, "I, Nurse Chantal, do solemnly swear to talk a lot, a whole lot, about Stanton Fleiss, revealing everything I know about him to the writers and interviewers who will someday want to find stuff out about him when he's a super famous person, with liberty and justice for all." He added that last part as a joke, I think. Anyway, as I recall, he first committed himself as a patient to Green Meadows because of his fear and hatred of bunny rabbits. His terror of them was so intense, It extended to anything and anyone with freakishly large ears. Dumbo, Yoda, and Marco Rubio, him the most of all. In fact, whenever Rubio appeared on TV, Stanton would screech and run to the nearest corner, cower in it, hyperventilate, and wet himself. It got so we had to ban any cable news or political shows. And of course he wrote that song.
Twitchy little nose, tiny powder puff tail. They plan to rule the world and you know they won't fail. 'Cause no one would suspect these furry rodents from hell. If the rabbit hutch could speak, oh what stories it would tell. Big fluffy bunnies, evil twinkle in their eyes.
So what was the cause of Stanton's rabbit phobia?
Well, Stanton's mother was kind of a health nut. And when he was a small child, she insisted he drink 3 glasses of carrot juice a day, even though he hated it. I mean, he really hated it. She called it bunny milk, trying to make it cute or appealing to him, I guess. But Stanton took it literally. Once he believed carrot juice came from rabbits, he loathed them forever. He never got over it. On one occasion, years later, when he was in his 30s, Stanton was at the mall around Easter time, and he saw a guy dressed as the Easter Bunny for the kids. So he made a beeline for a health food store and bought a quart of carrot juice. He ran back to the Easter Bunny, pushed him to the ground, and shoved the carrot juice bottle in his face, screaming, "Drink it! It's your turn, fucker! Drink it all!" He almost drowned the poor guy. Little kids were screaming and crying. Parents were yelling and trying to pull Stanton away. It was quite a scene, apparently.
Was he arrested for that?
The cops showed up, but an incredible stroke of luck for Stanton, the guy he attacked turned out to be some local hipster musician who was big into outsider music and a huge fan of Stanton's, so he refused to press charges. In fact, they later became friends, and the guy sometimes even plays drums at Stanton's live shows.
Stanton's live performances were sporadic. Friends and fans often encouraged him to play out, but he suffered from an unusually strong case of stage fright, as a rare live recording from a January 1992 show at famed New York club CBGB's makes abundantly clear.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Stanton Fleiss.
Hi. Good evening. This song... wait. I have to go pee. I'll come back. Later. Maybe.
The late punk superstar Joey Ramone, who was there that night, reminisced about the show in a 1998 interview.
That was the shortest show I've ever been to. Probably not even a minute long. Most of the crowd was pretty pissed off, but some people liked it and applauded because they thought it was performance art. 'Cause, it was New York. I thought it was funny, It was like the punkest thing I've ever seen. And I knew Stanton almost never actually played songs at his shows and had a habit of just excusing himself to go to the bathroom and not coming back. So I wasn't really surprised. I would have been disappointed if he'd actually played a set, to be honest.
Throughout his career, such as it was, Stanton exclusively recorded and performed his own compositions, with one notable exception, his a cappella cover of Miles Davis's double album, Bitches Brew, originally used to torture terrorists at CIA black sites in the early 2000s, until, reportedly, Dick Cheney himself declared the enhanced audio interrogation technique to be way too goddamn cruel. Stanton's version of the fusion classic somehow ended up becoming something of an underground cult sensation. After listening to Stanton's cover of his music, Miles Davis is reported to have said, "Like I needed another reason to hate white people." Fleiss occasionally gave interviews after he attained minor fame as a cult artist, but he was usually reluctant to talk about his past, preferring to talk about his favorite snack. Slim Jims.
So, Stanton, when did you first start writing songs?
Oh, I don't know. 3 years ago? Hey, I'm hungry. I'm gonna bust into my Slim Jim stash. You want one?
No thanks.
More for me.
So, when did you first become aware that you were...
Did you know that Slim Jims were invented in 1929 by Jack Camilla? About 1 billion Slim Jims are produced annually in the United States. Isn't that amazing?
Not as amazing as seeing someone cram a dozen Slim Jims into their mouth at once. Man. So, what are your musical influences?
Anyway, Jack and his partner Adolph Levis sold the Slim Jim brand to General Mills in 1967 for $20 million. General Mills then merged the Slim Jim operations with their Jesse Jones Sausage Company, creating Goodmark Foods. Then, in 1970, there was an explosion in the Slim Jim factory in Newark, New Jersey, and...
Have you written a song about Slim Jims?
Yeah, 87, I think.
87?
Wait, no, 88. I forgot I wrote one this morning. You want to hear it?
Actually, I'm up against a deadline, so I better get
Hey, motherfucker, don't you hold out on me. I know you got some Slim Jims in your house. Better hand them over if you're hoping to be alive this time tomorrow. Don't leave your kids in sorrow. Go get those fucking Slim Jims or you're dead. That's all I got so far. I'm hoping I can sell it to the company to use as a commercial jingle.
Yeah, good song. Well, like I said, I better get going.
Hey, wait a minute. What's that in your shirt pocket? Is that a Slim Jim?
I don't have any Slim Jims.
You're lying. I see it. Give me that.
Hey, what are you...
It's stale as fuck.
Dude, you're eating my ballpoint.
In recent years, Stanton Fleiss's limited level of fame seemed to be on the rise. Starting about the time the controversial, secretive company known as Teradyne began featuring his songs on their private radio station, KDYN, which broadcasts at a high enough wattage that its reach extends well beyond the large company's expansive New Mexico campus.
You're tuned in to Teradyne's 10,000-watt giant. Now here's Stanton Fleiss with Ellen DeGeneres.
Normally restricted to playing music made by employees, it remains a mystery how and why Fleiss's songs became a substantial part of KDYN's programming. But the regular airplay may have helped boost Stanton's fortunes, as sales of his many albums, by now available from a number of small independent record labels, began to rise, and music websites such as Pitchfork, Stereo Gum, and Rolling Stone gave the eccentric musician wider media attention than he'd enjoyed in the past. The publicity culminated in Stanton being booked to appear on Jimmy Kimmel Live in September of 2023. It seemed that the fame and fortune that had always eluded Stanton was, finally, just around the corner.
Gotta speak it through a TV show.
But it was not to be. The night before his debut network TV appearance, a now obese Stanton Fleiss ironically died while recording a new song titled "Gonna Live Forever" and "I'll Never Be Dead."
Okay, just had my triple-decker bacon Slim Jims, mayonnaise Slim Jims Velveeta, and Slim Jims on a brioche bun sandwich, and I am feeling good, baby. Now I have the energy to record my latest tune. Here we go.
Gonna live forever and I'll never be dead. Gonna live forever, yeah, you heard what I said. Dying is for losers, I'm a winner, my friend. Gonna live forever and I'll never be dead. Gonna dance on your grave when I'm 204. Gonna hang out with God when the world is no more. When I'm 10,005, I'm gonna still be alive. Ow.
Uh-oh.
Stanton Fleiss keeled over onto his keyboard, dead at the age of 59. 3 days later, the coroner attributed his death to acute Slim Jim toxicity. A week later, a memorial service was held in Fleiss's hometown of Los Angeles, drawing many of his famous fans. One after another, fellow alternative musicians such as Eddie Vedder, Michael Stipe, and Fiona Apple took the stage to pay tribute to Stanton, not by playing his songs, but by excusing themselves to go to the restroom.
American Doom presents Inside the Tunage, the Stanton Fleiss story, was written and produced by J. Philip Wilkins and Gary Messick. It was performed by Gary Messick, J. Philip Wilkins, Robin Lombardia, and Maggie Dubois.